you can put the smartest person in the world into a role where they don't know what they're doing, and they will fail. Right. And the same is true with virtual assistants.
Welcome back to the Outsourcing and Scaling Show. My guest today is Dan Meadors. Dan, how are you doing today?
Pretty good. How are you, brother?
Doing great. Really excited to talk to you. Like I said before, we haven't had someone talk about wholesale yet. So I'm excited to dive right into it. For those of you that don't know Dan, he entered the Amazon marketplace in 2011. After just a few months, he saw the real potential of selling on Amazon, left his day job to become a full-time Amazon wholesaler, and is now the co-founder of the Wholesale Formula. Now a multi-million-dollar Amazon seller and an Amazon marketplace master, Dan is passionate about sharing his knowledge with others who are just as driven to succeed. Together with his team of experts of the Wholesale Formula, Dan dedicates his time teaching others to grow and scale their wholesale Amazon businesses, empowering students with a wide range of experience, from those with no Amazon experience to a lot. And the Wholesale Formula have helped people sell over $1 billion worth of products on Amazon. Very impressive, and we're going to talk all about that. But first, I want to take a gigantic step back. Talk to me about what you were like growing up. Were you a rebel? Were you a straight-A student? Did you know you wanted to be an entrepreneur?
No, man. Like, I had no idea, to be honest with you. I grew up pretty poor, and both of my parents were employed. So, like, they kind of had that employee mentality. So, no, there's definitely no thoughts of entrepreneurship when I was growing up. Whenever I was a little kid, the one thing I wanted to be was a lawyer, and it was really just because I had a baseball coach who, he would actually just buy me things and like snacks and stuff like that, and it was just being able to see somebody that was able to help other people was incredible. And I didn't even really know what a lawyer did, but I wanted to be one when I grew up. And then, after I graduated college, I took the kind of that pre-law route. Gosh, got stumbled up there. But, and my wife was about a semester behind me. So I went and got a job locally at a online retailer that sold toys and games. And that's where I fell in love with online business, like in general, just the connectivity and the ability to find clients and not be a locally based business was completely mind blowing and something I just truly loved. So, that's where I guess that's where kind of like that entrepreneurial spark hit is I just saw so many opportunities and things you could do online.
I love it. So what is it about wholesale? Because I started off with drop shipping. If drop shipping is not dead now, it's pretty close. It's very tough to do. There's a lot of people doing FBA. You see all the courses, all the gurus. There's not that many people preaching and teaching wholesale. What is it about wholesale that attracted you and that has kept you doing it going forward?
No, it really is. It's for us, it's just been one of the easiest models. Like we've tried and failed at a lot of things. We were retail arbitrage based when we first started. And, for anybody who doesn't know what that is, it's going into physical stores, buying products to resell at a profit online. But it was a nightmare. Like we made great money, but the problem is we never able to stop working. And every time we did stop working, our sales started dropping. And, what we had done is we had created ourselves really high paying, intense jobs. So knowing that, like, we tried to come up with other ways to generate income. And our first one was a brick and mortar toy store. But what we didn't really factor, was how small our town is. We live in a town that has 7,000 people.
Wow. So
like a brick and mortar toy store, while it was an awesome store, it just didn't have the foot traffic to succeed. We ended up having to sell it. Then we tried another business. We got my kids at the time were really into My Little Pony collectibles, Eric's kids. And then we watched a documentary one time and it was like about bronies. And I was like, whoa, there's like people that actually collect this stuff. And we researched it a bunch. And then we made a website about My Little Pony collectibles. And that one didn't go so well either. We ended up selling it. And then we started dabbling with private label, and we weren't very good at driving traffic and creating listings and like all the things that they kind of go into that. It's like, I think that's a great model, but the problem is you have to be good at those certain skills. And if you're not, then, you will struggle. So, then we found wholesale, which was kind of the same as private label in that you get, once you establish yourself with a SKU, you just sit there, you're able to replenish that SKU over and over and over. So that was really attractive to us at first, was just the sheer scalability, the simplicity of it. What was why we really dove into wholesale, and ultimately why it stuck was, it gave us the ability to create a real business that, if I stop working, then my business still operates because it's built around systems. It's built around, it's through automation and outsourcing.
And I know you guys use a lot of VAs. Can you talk to people, can you talk to the audience about how you do it? Because one of the things that I see here and there on the free up marketplace is you get people who say, oh, I want to hire a $5 an hour VA. I want them to source products, but the only directions that they give them is go find me profitable products. So there's no system, there's no process behind it. How important is it to have that process, and how are you utilizing VAs in your business?
No, it's, we utilize VAs for all those types of tasks. Like we utilize VAs for account management, customer service. If we have cases, we need to file cases, we need to file for reimbursements. Like our virtual assistants handle all that. They also handle all of our scouting and finding products, all of our initial contact to vendors. So it's, virtual assistants. I think that's maybe the disconnect, right? Is that people just, it's not, they don't realize the value of a true virtual employee, but those employees can only be as good as the direction you give them. Like, you can put the smartest person in the world into a role where they don't know what they're doing, and they will fail. Right. And the same is true with virtual assistants. So it's, originally we had those same problems. Like when we hired virtual assistants, the work quality would come back and it would be scattered. Like you would see some great work, you would see some terrible work, but that wasn't ultimately what we figured out. That wasn't a reflection of the employee. It was a reflection of our training processes. So, and that was where we really dialed in and tried to focus on trying to decide the optimal way to do things. So, creating a process is really simple. It's understanding the objective and creating a process that gets you to that objective every time, right? It's just the optimal way to do things. So once we started doing that, we started focusing our training around, this is the one way I want you to do it. I want you to do it like this every single time. And we had that process literally spelled out step by step. We included a video of us doing that process. And what we saw is the quality of work got consistent. It got consistently better too. And that's the thing, is like once you're able to get that consistency, then you're able to tweak individual things to get the work level to exactly where you want it, right? You're just changing a small part of a process. So it's, it's not an easy thing to do, but I think it's absolutely necessary, particularly if you're going to use any employees, let alone virtual assistants. I think a lot of, in regards to, like people who might use temporary virtual assistants. I know that's probably a thing in your platform, right?
Yeah, I mean, we have people who might have the same VA for 3 years full time. Other people will hire someone to build a website and never talk to them again, and everything in between. So it's pretty wide range. Right.
Particularly for any of those jobs where I feel like you're going to be going back and bringing somebody on. But it's, it's not, you're not going to have them employed for 3 years. Like, maybe it's a 2-month task or a month-long task. But it's something you're going to do a couple of times a year or 3 times a year. Like, it's very important to get processes in place for those types of things, because otherwise you're spending, you're spending a large amount of time training. And that was another problem we had originally, is we just spent so much time training people, right? And you're trying to make them, it's like you're trying to make them remember something that, it's a job to them. Like it's not, this not necessarily something they're incredibly passionate about. It's a job, and it's just hard to develop any level of consistency, any level of high quality work if you don't have those processes and training methods in place.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that we focused on internally with our VAs is how do we take the month-long training process and move it down to 2 weeks? I'm talking about my internal team, not the VAs on the platform. But I think that's a huge part of it that people don't realize. Anything you can do to make the process simpler, easier, faster is only going to help you. And when someone does quit, if someone gets sick or whatever it is, it's a lot easier to replace someone in 2 weeks than if it takes you 2 months to onboard the next person. Dan, what do you look for when you're trying to hire someone?
Oh, it's for us. It is literally that we look for intelligent people who are excited about working, and from there, I feel like if you have the right processes and training methods in place, like you can train them. But for the most part, we try to start with a more blank canvas, unless it's like a specific one-off job or something like that. But if it's somebody that we're going to be utilizing for a long period of time, it's just I want them to go through my entire training process. I want them to be utilizing the exact strategies that we use for that consistency. So no, it's I like whenever we hire somebody, I just like to realize that they're number one, that they're intelligent and very motivated. I feel like if you give me an intelligent person who's motivated, we can accomplish almost anything.
And talk to me about communication. I mean, you guys are pretty big now. You've got a lot of VAs. I know you have a business partner too. What does that communication look like? Is it daily? Is it weekly?
Oh yeah, I think you have to. I think you have to communicate with your employees daily. Even if you're in that virtual setting, it's important to give feedback, and it's important to just to let them know that their job's actually important, right? And that somebody cares about it, monitors it, because that's the thing. If you're giving really intermittent feedback, it's hard for them to stay motivated. It's hard for them to realize that they're doing a great job. So even if it's just checking in on, for our sourcing VAs, we have a shared document that we can review, and we review it daily and just leave comments. And it's like, hey, great job, and we'll give any level of feedback that we need to. But I feel like that constant feedback keeps them at keeps them much more motivated and gets a higher quality of work.
I want to pick your brain here, because I mentioned before that people hiring VAs for sourcing a lot of times don't give them enough information. They don't give them the right steps. What does a good sourcing process look like? How do you know that process is good enough to hand over to a VA?
It's got to be incredibly binary, right? That's the thing for us, is we've tried to make as many of those sourcing decisions as possible binary. And what I mean by that is a simple yes, no, right? So we give them incredibly detailed criteria. For example, one of our initial criteria is that Amazon doesn't sell the product. If Amazon sells that product, we're not interested in carrying it. So that's an automatic just no. That the product sells more than 60 times per month. That's an incredibly binary thing, right? It's either it does or it doesn't. If it does, then it hits, it's as long as it passes the next criteria, it's going to make the list. The third criteria another example of a criteria that we utilize is, that it's sold by more than 3 sellers. And that's to keep a lot of private label products, because regardless of, I'm not going to teach necessarily a virtual assistant, or, I could, for what it's worth, I don't feel like I could teach my mom to identify private label products. So the expectation that they would is just not reasonable either. So instead it's rather than try to give advice that could be taken multiple ways. I think it's really, really important to give binary guidelines for them to operate with.
I love that. I think making everything yes, no, where it's black and white, one way or the other, instead of, hey, is this product good or bad or anything in between? I think that's a much better way to go. Take us behind the scenes of a large wholesale business. What is it that the average or maybe a 6-figure wholesale seller is not doing that a 7 or 8-figure seller is?
No, it's outsourcing and automation. And that was originally our hang up too, is the same thing. Is we weren't outsourcing. We were trying to do all these things ourselves. And it's when you do that, your ability to grow is limited to what you're capable of. But whenever you start utilizing those services, not only will there's a byproduct of you have to work less in your business, which is a good thing, but you're able to actually gain more ground. So for, to go back to that example where I was talking about the criteria for virtual assistants, could I, are they going to miss fringe things along the way? Yeah, of course. Could I source better than them? Yeah, of course. But I can't source better than 5 of them.
Right.
Exactly. And, when you start talking about that, it's like, even if they're 80% as proficient as I am, when the ability to hire multiple people and perform that task is just the level of productivity goes up so much that it forces your business to grow. So it's, if for people who are wanting to actively grow, their business or wholesale business specifically, it's focus on removing yourself from tasks. Like if you have a task that you do every day, you need to, if you want to grow and scale, you can't be doing that. You have to find ways to make yourself irrelevant within your own business. And it can be uncomfortable, but you just got to look at, the ability to grow is there if you can do it. It's, you can't grow beyond what you're capable of if you're not outsourcing and you're not automating and doing things. But yeah, for people that are looking to do that, I think the real trick is just working less and working on your business rather than in your business is a big key.
Completely agree. Let's talk about the Wholesale Formula. I think you're doing some awesome stuff there. I have clients who rave about you, who says that taking your course was the best thing that they've ever done. That's really helped them scale their business. Even if they're also doing private label and other stuff, they've now implemented wholesale as a big part of their business. What made you start that? I mean, why not just keep all that knowledge internal? And where are you at now? I know you're a few years into doing this.
Sure. No, whenever we first started with wholesale, like internally, we had no intention of ever making a course or anything like that. And then one day, one of our buddies who he does some stuff in the digital marketing space, he was at our office, and it was funny because we were just there playing board games actually one night, and he's like, "So what is it that you guys actually do?" And I explained the process and kind of walked him through. At the time, we actually had a warehouse. I walked him through the warehouse and just told him what our business was, and he was like, "Gosh, man." He's like, "You guys should make a course about this." He's like, "I'm telling you, people would definitely be interested and wanting to know more." And we didn't believe it at the time, to be honest. Like, it's like, no, it's just like any other thing. Like people could just figure it out like we did. But you don't, whenever you're in that mode, it's just like, you don't realize it took us 6 years to figure it out, like to figure out where we were, not even where we're at now. And it's, but yeah, so that's how we actually got started with the course is he challenged us to make one. We did make one, and it went really well. But the course has grown and evolved along with that community. At this point, we've had more than 3,500 students.
Wow,
who've went through our course. Our students have done more than $1 billion in sales, and it's a lot. It's not just that; it's just the lives that I've seen changed. Is like we've got to experience that, be a part of it, and be. And it's just a great part of our community, right? It's like hearing people's success stories and seeing the encouragement that they're able to offer to the newer folks going through. And no, it's been a great ride, man. Like,
I love it. What changes are you seeing with Amazon? Anything that would affect wholesale, good or bad?
For sure. I mean, it's all the changes. Like, I think it depends on how you look at change, right? It's like for the most part, we typically just see change as good. And like even if it negatively affects us, and the reason for that is that it negatively affects everybody, and I trust our ability to adapt. Like I understand that we have the ability to adapt, and we're pretty nimble with that kind of stuff. So, but no, I mean with it's mostly just the same kind of stuff, right? It's category brand restrictions are still a thing, but we love that. Like we actually love hurdles that make it harder for people to do stuff, because we realize that most people aren't willing to take those types of actions. We've seen a lot of growth recently with sponsored ads as well, and I think that's really a big important part of Amazon, and something they're pushing a lot is sponsored ads right now. But really, I mean, it's, there's just so many changes. It's always like Amazon is literally always changing. You just have to be malleable and have processes that can adapt and adjust.
Are you guys running sponsored ads for wholesale products? Because when I think of sponsored ads, I definitely don't think wholesale.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. Like, and it went from, originally whenever we were running sponsored ads, we were doing it as a value to the vendors that we're working with. Like, when we talk to them, it's like, hey, sponsored ads are a strategy to help you acquire new customers, and we can dedicate this much of a budget to it and at the time we were losing money running ads, but that's the more work we've done with ads, the more just learning of that process. Like now ads are actually profitable for us. So, I mean, whenever you're running profitable ads, like, how much money should you spend? And it's as much as you can, right? As long as I'm making money, I should just continue to pour it in. So yeah, ads have been an absolute monster for us this year.
I love it. Dan, this has been great. Where can people find out more about you, and what are you most excited for the rest of the year?
No, it's find out more about us at our website, the wholesaleformula.com. And, for us, it's just doing the same thing, right? We're super excited to continue working with people, seeing people develop new awesome businesses and the growth within the community. Like that's, our course, we've updated our course, I think at this point, say 7 times. Wow. To just reflect all the new strategies and things that we're doing. But, a lot of that comes from within that community. Like, I feel like our community is kind of like that little hive mind, and it's increased it's increased our ability to make change so much. And, it's just an awesome shared experience.
I love it. Thanks so much for coming on, and have a great rest of the week.
Absolutely, brother. Thanks for having me.
Hey everyone, thank you so much for watching. Did you enjoy this content? If so, click like, leave us a comment, and subscribe to our channel so we can continue bringing you great content all about hiring.